Brand new developments have changed the extraction shooter landscape. From shutdowns to beta tests not going well, it's leading many to ask, is the extraction shooter genre really exploding, or is that smoke and mirrors? Let's get into it. Exoborn had its first non-NDA playtest. Delta Force has been fully released. The second Open Sand demo dropped. Level 0 extraction is effectively shut down, and still radio silence from Bungie regarding Marathon. With all the developments in mind, it looks like any hope for a middle-of-the-road extraction shooter is going to result in a conflict between Arc Raiders and Exoborn. But before we get into that, a review on the specifics on what's new. Delta Force represented a possible middle ground to the extraction shooter space that already has an abundance of milsim titles in it, with more on the way. Despite its Call of Duty appearance and poorly suited hero mechanics, its damage models make it play entirely too close to the rest of the options to constitute any real departure from the rest. For a more detailed breakdown of how it dropped the ball on its hero mechanics, you can check out the video linked above. The last time we talked about Level 0 extraction, it was already on shaky legs for obvious reasons. It was already trying to tackle the niche genre of extraction shooters, which has its own pitfalls to avoid. But they made things even more difficult when they went heavy into the asymmetrical merc versus alien horror aspect. Their community didn't help things by buying into the concept completely and brigading anyone who wasn't on board. The devs put way too much stock into the feedback of this tiny player base. This is a great example of why it's not always the right move to listen to the community. But now it seems that the devs are finally tapping out, removing another casual extraction shooter possibility. The game Sand is still in an iffy place. As a concept, it will fit nicely within the extraction shooter space, but it's still very early in development. Unfortunately for me, the most recent demo was a wash as the game was so poorly optimized and the servers ran so poorly, I cannot really comment on any other aspects of it without this being resolved. Other than adding some very basic PvE, a few new mech parts, naval mines on the map, and exploding barrels, not much has changed from the last time I played it, which you can check out from this link above. So the most tangible titles we're left to look forward to are Exoborn and Arc Raiders. In my mind, these two represent the biggest hope for those of us that want a non-milsim extraction shooter, and I think they might be heading for a collision course. The real question that has failed to have been decisively answered in this space is whether there is enough of a player base to allow for a more casual extraction shooter to succeed. Despite many failures to point to, I still believe such a demand exists. As I've talked about plenty on this channel, we've established that the extraction shooter formula has a very specific set of notes it needs to hit in order to work. Most of the failed titles in the past within the extraction shooter space can honestly chalk up their failure to not understanding these points. This doesn't seem to be the case with these two titles. Exoborn is a more dynamic and chaotic experience, while Arc Raiders is more grounded, tempered, and visceral, which is only an observation made by its in-game trailer, others commenting on said trailer, and not, and I repeat not, from my time playing both of the alphas.
Allegedly.
Both also have an overarching narrative beyond you're a merc and you're going into a dangerous area, which is pretty much the default for nearly all extraction shooters. Both games offer completely different takes on the genre, so it's perfectly possible for both to succeed, but only if there are in fact enough players out there for not just one of them, but for both. Regarding the question of whether there's enough demand for both of them, I am not so sure. But if there can only be one, which will it be after both have had a chance to play their hand? It would be easy to say the better game is X and that's why it would win out. But in terms of launching a title, execution matters. The Cycle Frontier showed us it's not enough to have great potential, you gotta stick the landing. If Exoborn manages to get fully established first, Arc Raiders' $40 price tag might be a serious hurdle to player acquisition. After all, you're more likely to convince your friends to play a game if it's free rather than one that costs money. And if this genre already has a hard time appealing to the uninitiated, any obstacle could be seriously harmful. If the reverse happens, Arc Raiders launching and establishing itself first, then Embark might be able to outlast the initial hit to its player base with an Exoborn launch. In my opinion, based on how Exoborn ran during the test, I don't see Exoborn releasing this year, to be honest, but who knows. So how do you think it's gonna all shake out? Did I miss anything? Let me know down in the comments. Like and subscribe for more. Thank you so much for watching, and good hunting.